Okay, we're going to call this game Stay in Your Lane. This was a tough game, one of the tougher ones, but I just had this feeling that if I stayed the course, I would prevail. So my opponent, let's see. So I started out with my usual English opening. My opponent goes for the immediate exchange off of the bishop, which usually is a bad omen for the other side. But my opponent came in with this very aggressive F2, F7, F5 pawn move, and immediately working very hard to disrupt the standard lines, the standard positions. But I kind of just hung in there, a lot of back and forth. And the position is kind of interesting here. So, sometimes you have to fight fire with fire. So I did my own F2 to F4 response to open up the F file. My opponent's king started to make a run for the queen side, just so that his attack would be all that mattered. So here I develop a pretty good pawn chain, and I also have the white bishop, the light colored bishop on the white diagonal, which obviously we're going to start checking, and black blocks, and then we come in to put two pieces on that C6 pawn, and black defends again pretty good. Got to move the bishop back. And now white figures, hey, I can't attack the king right now. Let's just bust open the center. So I support the pawn push in the sense that if black wants to take, the queen will be the price. So he continues to push pawns. So takes, and this was a good move, I thought, on my part. C2, C3. That bishop is highly pinned. So black breaks out of the pin, but we take the bishop, then brings the rook down. Takes back. And now I'm trying to reroute the knight to get the knight back on either E3 or over toward the queen side where black's king is. So the rook comes up on the open file, good move. And here I move to further attack this D5 pawn. So black is trying to break open the defenses of the king, and we push the pawn with the idea that, the piece is worth more, so he's going to have to move it. So he moves back, and we attack the queen. So black queen goes to F6 to kind of undermine all this piece coordination. And then I come in with the first real aggressive move. Knight takes pawn, threatening the queen. And the idea is if black takes the F5 pawn, which he might do, I've got this sort of diagonal control here, and a possible check wins the queen. So black sees that apparently and runs to kind of attack the knight. So we take the pawn so we can protect the knight. And now It's kind of interesting. It looks like a double attack on the knight, but the really cool illusion is knight takes knight, check. So we get the free piece. Black has to move, and then we just put it right back where we got it. Now, Black's probably starting to get frustrated, but the game's not over yet, and my real only advantage are these pawns on the king side. So we hit him with a check, comes back and blocks, and we come to the E7 square, which is, which has ideas of, the bishop and a checkmate over on B7. And then my opponent decides to exchange, which is good for me. And my opponent makes this move, and it looks like the piece is, it looks like I lost a piece due to the pin, but I could actually have just pushed the pawn, but instead I went with a check. Comes back, we move back, and then it's time to start pushing these pawns. So I push the G pawn with the idea that if he takes the other one, I promote, and he protects, and then I just support that pawn. And pretty soon I realize he can't stop both of them. So the king comes over to try to help out, but it's not going to be in time. Takes, promotes. Here, I'm not sure what, I guess it was the only move preventing mate. Takes, and then my opponent resigns.